Imagine being handpicked to teach the daughter of the world's most isolated dictator. In 2018, a North Korean education officer received an order that would change her life forever: become the personal tutor to Kim Joo-ae, Kim Jong-un's daughter. For 6 years, she witnessed something the world has never seen: the brutal power struggle behind North Korea's ruling family. What she discovered forced her to risk everything to escape. This is her story.
Freedom? Security? Which matters more to you?
It all began in the fall of 2018. Comrade Choi Eun-suk, from now on you will serve as the personal tutor to the marshal's daughter, Comrade Kim Joo-ae. The moment I heard those words, my life changed completely. Even in old Korean history, the tutors who educated princes and princesses were said to stake their lives on that duty. That was exactly how I felt. Teaching a child of the Baekdu bloodline, the ruling Kim family, was the greatest honor, and at the same time the heaviest burden I could imagine. When the call came from the Workers' Party Central Committee, I was just an ordinary education officer. I had been teaching children of the elite at Mangyongdae Revolutionary School, one of Pyongyang's top schools for high-ranking families. Then I heard the phrase, "a special order from the supreme leader." My whole body shook. The reason I was chosen was simple and brutal. I had a PhD in education from Kim Il-sung University. I had studied abroad at Moscow State University. I spoke both Russian and English. That is what appealed to them. The marshal's daughter must grow into a leader who can guide the world. Foreign languages are essential. That was the party line. From that day on, my life stopped resembling anything normal. They gave me a high-rise apartment in central Pyongyang, with a full view of the Taedong River. I received a car and a permit to shop at hard currency stores that most citizens never see. Rice, meat, fruit, everything came in special rations. I had lived more than 20 years in North Korea. For the first time, I thought, so this is what life in real Pyongyang looks like. It was a different planet from the world where ordinary people fought to buy a single measure of rice at the market. I still remember the first day I met Kim Joo-ae. She was 5 years old. Her eyes were sharp and bright. But there was something else in them. A trace of loneliness. She didn't run around with other children. She was always surrounded by adults. Lessons, manners, protocol. It felt less like meeting a child and more like stepping into the palace of an old dynasty to greet a princess. Ri Sol-ju, the first lady, called me in personally. "Teacher, please take good care of our Joo-ae. Raise her to be intelligent and refined." Her voice carried the desperation of a mother. I had a daughter of my own, so I understood that tone very well. Kim Yo-jong also visited the classroom from time to inspect the lessons. Unlike Ri Sol-ju's warm gaze, Kim Yo-jong's eyes were cold and sharp. It felt as if nothing escaped her. Under that stare, I could never relax. Back then I told myself, this is the highest honor of my life. I teach the Baekdu bloodline. This child's future is my future. I treated Joo-ae like a grandmother raising a precious grandchild. I believed that helping her grow into a great person was my mission. I had no idea how dangerous that mission really was. I had no idea how dark the shadows of power around this child would become. In early 2020, when COVID-19 swept across the world, North Korea locked itself down completely. Borders shut. Travel inside Pyongyang was restricted. During that closed-off period, I spent almost 24 hours a day with Kim Joo-ae. Her education intensified. I stayed by her side from 7 in the morning until 9 at night. As the days dragged on, I started seeing things I hadn't noticed before. Most of all, the strange tension between Ri Sol-ju and Kim Yo-jong. At first, I thought it was just a difference of opinion about education. But as time passed, I realized it was something else, something deeper. One day, Ri Sol-ju came to the education annex and said quietly, "Teacher, Joo-ae looks exhausted these days. Please cut back on the political theory classes. Give her more music and art. She's still a child. Everything she learns feels too heavy right now." I nodded right away. A 7-year-old studying party ideology and Juche theory every day. Of course it was too much. As a mother, she wanted to protect her daughter. I understood that completely. But the very next day, Kim Yo-jong came to the same place. Her face was firm. Her tone left no room for argument. Comrade Choi, increase the hours for political theory. If she is to be a successor, training must start early. Art is secondary. I froze. Yesterday, the mother had ordered me to cut political lessons. Today, the aunt was ordering me to increase them. I tried to speak carefully. But Comrade Kim Ju-ae seems very tired lately. Her gaze went icy. Your duty as a teacher is to shape Comrade Ju-ae into a successor. Do not put personal feelings first. That night I couldn't sleep. You may know the old Korean history Queen Inhyun and Jang Wei-bin at court, fighting for influence. The palace maids caught between them were the ones who suffered first. I realized I had become one of those people. The mother wanted to shield her daughter. The aunt wanted to mold her niece into a successor. And I was caught in the middle, not knowing whose word to follow. The real shock came the next month. One of the music teachers who worked with me on Ju-ae's lessons suddenly disappeared. Officially, they said she left for health reasons. Later, I heard the truth. She had been removed because she had followed Ri Sol-ju's opinion instead of obeying Kim Yo-jong's orders. When I heard that, every hair on my body stood on end. This isn't a debate about education, I thought. This is a power struggle around a child. Ju-ae knew nothing of this. She just kept studying, doing her best. But I could feel it. The air around her was getting heavier. Something was very wrong. From that day on, I became extremely careful. I felt as if every word and gesture were under surveillance. And inside, one thought kept repeating. This position is not an honor. It's a tightrope over a cliff. In November 2022, Kim Ju-ae appeared in public for the first time. World media went wild. Kim Jong-un reveals his daughter. Ri Sol-ju was radiant that day. Our Ju-ae has finally been introduced to the world, she said. Now she will be treated properly as our daughter. But I remember Kim Yo-jong's expression more clearly. She was smiling, but her eyes were cold and calculating, like a player who had just moved a key piece on a chessboard. After that, Ju-ae's education intensified brutally. Political theory, military basics, foreign languages, protocol. It was a schedule no 9-year-old should be asked to endure. I quietly approached Ri Sol-ju. Madam, she seems to be struggling. But the party's orders could not be changed. Not by me, not by her mother. Then, in February 2023, the most shocking moment of my life arrived. I had been called to a party annex building to report on Ju-ae's progress. While I waited in the hallway, voices came from the next room. It was Kim Yo-jong and Ri Sol-ju. I tried to ignore it and keep walking. But then I heard Kim Yo-jong's sharp voice. My feet stopped. Uni, raising Ju-ae as successor is the party's decision. But be honest, how many times in history has a female successor truly succeeded? Did any princess inherit the throne in our old dynasties? In China they had only one empress, Wu Zetian. I heard Ri Sol-ju's voice tremble. She's still just a child. She's not ready for that. Kim Yo-jong gave a short, cold laugh. That's what makes it ideal. Children are easier to control. You know what Empress Dowager Cixi did in Chinese history. She put a child emperor on the throne and used him as a puppet. She held the real power. My heart almost stopped. Then came the sentence that froze my blood. If Ju-ae doesn't listen or becomes useless, well, think of Jang Song-thak. Jang Song-thak, Kim Jong-un's uncle, once one of the most powerful men in the country, later purged and executed. By naming him, she was sending a message. Even a member of the Baekdu bloodline could be removed if she became inconvenient. I didn't sleep that night. You may know the story of Crown Prince Sado from Korean history. His own father, King Yongjo, had him sealed in a rice chest to die. In North Korea, the pattern is no different. Family ties mean nothing when power is at stake. A few days later, State security agents WIBU officers were assigned to our education team. Every lesson was recorded. Every word out of Ju-a's mouth was documented. I realized then this was not education. It was surveillance. Not protection, but control. One day after class, Ju-a walked over to me quietly. Her eyes were full of tears. "Teacher, I wish I had been born normal," she whispered. "I want to run around with friends. I want to go to school like other kids. Why am I always being watched, always practicing, always standing in front of cameras?" I wanted to hug her. I wanted to say, "Let's run away. Let's get you out of here." But I couldn't. State security officers were watching us. All I could do was lean in and whisper, "It will be okay, Ju-a." Inside, I knew it wasn't true. She was a hostage to power. A tool for Kim Yo-jong. When she stopped being useful, she might be discarded like so many others before her. And everyone around her, including me, was also in danger. One morning in September 2023, my life veered off its rails. When I arrived at the education annex, one chair was empty. It belonged to teacher Park Sun-hee. We had worked together for 6 years. Same age, same worries. We talked often about our children and our fears for their future. "Where is Comrade Park?" I asked. Another teacher glanced around nervously and shook her head. "They say she is on medical leave," she murmured. But her face told a different story. 3 days later, state security called. "Comrade Choi, you are to appear for questioning." My knees nearly gave out. A summons from them is not routine. It is a threat. In a narrow, cold interrogation room, an officer opened a file and looked at me. "Tell us what you know about your colleague, Park Sun-hee." My voice shook. She was a diligent, capable teacher. "I don't know anything more." He cut me off. "Park has been exposed as a reactionary element. Do you know what she said?" I shook my head. His voice turned hard. "She said she felt sorry for Comrade Kim Ju-a. She called the marshal's precious daughter pitiful. Do you understand how serious that is?" My chest tightened. He continued. "She saw how the successor training was wearing the girl down. She said, 'That child is pitiful. It would be better to raise her as a normal girl.' That is a direct denial of the party's policy on training the successor. Anti-revolutionary. For that, she was purged." My mind went blank, because I had thought the same thing. Not only thought it, I had tried to comfort the child herself. If that recording exists, I thought, I'm finished too. The officer's eyes bored into me. "Did you ever hear her make such comments?" he asked. "Or have you ever had similar thoughts?" Cold sweat ran down my back. I denied it with everything I had. "Never. I have devoted myself only to the marshal's will. My sole duty is to raise Comrade Ju-a as a revolutionary successor." He stared at me for a long moment. At last he said, "Be more careful. You know we see everything." That night, I told my husband, Ri Myung-chol, what had happened. My voice shook so badly I could hardly speak. "They purged Sun-hee for saying she felt sorry for Ju-a," I said. "I've thought the same things. I even tried to comfort her. If that's on tape, I'm dead." My husband's face went pale. "Then we have to get out," he said. "If state security suspects you, time is short." We whispered all night. We looked out at the Pyongyang sky and thought about our daughter and son, who would have to stay behind. "If we die in a purge, their social status will collapse," I said. "They'll suffer their whole lives. If we can escape, at least we might open a path for them someday." During the Korean War, many parents fled south with children on their backs. Some took bullets and died on the road, still shielding their sons and daughters. That was how my heart felt. A few days later, I saw Ju-a one last time. She was practicing for another appearance in front of the cameras. I watched her and spoke silently in my mind. "I'm sorry, Ju-a. I can't protect you, but I will survive. Someday, I will tell the world the truth about you and about this place." In the last week of February 2024, I requested a business trip to North Hamgyong province. Officially, It was to collect educational materials for her training. On the train leaving Pyongyang, I stared out the window. This might be the last time I see this city, I thought. I may never set foot on this soil again. When we reached Onsong County, near the border, the cold cut straight through my bones. It was -15°C, about 5 degrees Fahrenheit. My husband and I met a Korean-Chinese broker in secret. Tonight at 11, he whispered. At such and such point on the Tumen River. Bring all the money. That night, in a small inn-room, we made our final preparations. We hid 50,000 US dollars, our life savings, inside our clothing. We layered thick winter clothes. My husband took my hand. Whatever happens, he said, we survive. For our children. I nodded, but tears kept falling. I couldn't stop picturing our son and daughter in Pyongyang. At 11, we moved through the darkness. The full moon lit the path. That helped us see. It also made us easier to see. My heart hammered in my chest. One mistake and the border guards would catch us. There would be no second chance. The Tumen River lay ahead, frozen and covered with snow. The broker motioned to us. Cross quickly. The patrol won't be gone long. I took my husband's hand. We stepped onto the ice. No, we crawled. We were terrified the ice might crack, terrified any sound might carry. I barely breathed. We were in our mid-50s, in brutal winter cold, dragging ourselves forward with everything we had. Those who fled south during the war will understand this fear. Each step holds life in one hand and death in the other. Halfway across, a beam of light suddenly hit us from the North Korean side. Stop right there. The border guards had spotted us. For a moment, I thought everything was over. Run, my husband shouted, yanking my arm. We ran. We slipped on the ice and fell. We scrambled back up and ran again. Gunshots cracked the air. Bullets hissed past our ears. I couldn't even scream. I could only run. From the Chinese bank, the broker waved frantically. This way. With the last of my strength, I clawed my way up the riverbank. My hands were numb with cold. I felt nothing, but I couldn't stop. When my feet finally touched Chinese soil, I collapsed. My lungs burned. My whole body shook. Across the river, flashlights still swept the ice. But the guards could not cross the border. The broker rushed us into a car. As it began to move, the tears I had held back for months finally broke loose. We're alive, we're alive, my husband cried beside me. But our joy was tangled with grief. We had survived, but what about the children we had left behind? What would happen to my 78-year-old mother? Once the regime learned we had escaped, how much would our family suffer? Out the car window, North Korean land receded into the distance. Half my life remained there. So did the people I loved most. When I first stepped onto Chinese territory, I thought, now I'm free. I was wrong. China was a different kind of prison. The broker took us to a Korean-Chinese home in Yanbian, in Jilin province. You'll stay in the basement for a while, he said. Chinese police are cracking down hard. If you go outside, you'll be caught. We were locked in a windowless room underground. No sunlight, no fresh air. We stayed there not for a day or two, but close to a month. Outside, spring arrived. In that basement, time did not move. Those who have left their hometowns and lived as foreigners will know the feeling. The loneliness, the constant humiliation. But I wasn't just in a foreign city. I had left my country entirely. The isolation was deeper than anything I had ever known. Then the money became a problem. The broker began to demand more. If people find out you used to teach Kim Ju-ae, he said, North Korea will chase you all the way here. Getting to South Korea will cost extra. We had already spent half of our $50,000. We didn't know if the rest would be enough to reach South Korea. Every night, my husband and I lay awake, calculating and worrying. The worst fear was the Chinese police. We heard that 2 other families who had crossed about the same time had been caught and sent back. In North Korea, forced repatriation is a death sentence. Political prison camp. Public execution. At best, decades in a labor camp. We shook with fear whenever we heard footsteps upstairs. In that basement, I thought endlessly about the family we had left in the north. Was our daughter safe? Was our son being bullied in the army? Was my 78-year-old mother healthy? If our escape became known, how much would they suffer? People in South Korea still remember the pain of the IMF crisis. But at least they suffered together as families. I had no one, no children, no relatives, just my husband and me in a dark room, in a foreign land, choking on fear. Then one day, something like a miracle happened. A Korean Chinese pastor came to see us. The broker had quietly contacted him. The pastor brought food, warm clothes, and a Bible. Please don't lose hope, he said. God will protect you. I'll try to find a way to get you to South Korea. I had been an atheist my whole life. In North Korea, religion is forbidden. But in that basement, drowning in despair, I learned how to pray. God, please, let us reach South Korea. Watch over my daughter and son. Let us meet again someday. At night, I read the Bible and slowly began to feel a new kind of strength. The pastor visited several more times. He encouraged us. Then he said, I think I've found a route. From China to Laos, from Laos to Thailand. It will be dangerous, but it may be the only way. When, after about 6 weeks, we finally left the basement and moved into a small church building, I cried just seeing sunlight again. I had never realized how precious light, sky, and wind could be. China was a place of suffering for me, but it also taught me something. I saw the kindness of Korean Chinese people who helped simply because we were fellow Koreans. I saw pastors risking their lives to protect strangers. I saw how humans cling to hope, even in a nightmare. In April 2024, the pastor brought us the news we had prayed for. The way is open, he said. From China to Laos, from Laos to Thailand, then to the South Korean embassy. It will be dangerous, but we have contacts along the way. I gripped my husband's hand. Can we do this at our age? I asked. He placed his hand over ours. God will go with you, he said quietly. Trust him. We received fake passports. My picture was on the document, but the name was Chinese. That one piece of paper would decide whether we lived or died. On the bus ride to the Chinese-Laos border, I prayed the whole time. Please, just let us get through. Every time we approached a checkpoint, my heart felt ready to explode. Somehow, we passed the border. Once we were in Laos, a new torment began. The broker said, from here, we walk. Cars can't reach where we're going. We have to cross the jungle. Try to imagine walking through jungle terrain in your mid-50s. Snakes appeared in the grass. Insects bit our arms and legs. Blisters formed on our feet, then burst. Still, we could not rest. We walked. We kept telling ourselves, just reach South Korea. Just a little farther. My husband was exhausted, but he never let go of my hand. We had been married for 40 years. That bond kept us moving. After 3 days and nights, we reached the Thai border. I nearly collapsed. But there, another test waited. The broker demanded more money. Crossing into Thailand will cost extra, he said. We gave him everything we had left. It still wasn't enough. I felt the bottom of my world drop out. What do we do now? I whispered. Then the pastor sent money. A church in South Korea had collected donations for us people we had never met. Strangers, halfway across the world, had given their own money to save our lives. I cried when I heard that. There are still good people in this world, I thought. When we finally arrived in Bangkok, I could not relax. We had heard rumors that Chinese agents were hunting for us. China is looking for a North Korean defector who used to teach Kim Ju-ae, someone said. That meant North Korea was trying to track us through China. We have to get to the South Korean embassy, I told my husband. Right now, on the way in a taxi, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. If they catch us now, it's over, I kept thinking. We won't be the only ones punished. Our children will pay too. At last, I saw the gates of the South Korean embassy. As soon as the taxi stopped, I jumped out and ran. I was in my mid-50s, gasping for air, but I didn't stop. I went straight to the guard and said, my voice trembling, I am a defector from North Korea. I used to teach Kim Ju-ae. Please help us. The guard looked startled and called inside. Soon, embassy staff came out. Come in, they said. You're safe here. The moment I heard those words, my legs gave way. I sat on the ground and sobbed. For more than 2 months, we had been running. From North Korea through China, Laos and Thailand, living each day with death at our heels. Our flight was finally over. We survived, we actually survived. My husband cried beside me. Those of you living abroad might know the feeling of meeting someone from home after years away. Multiply that by 10. For the first time, I was stepping onto the path to becoming a citizen of the Republic of Korea. In June 2024, we landed at Incheon International Airport. There are no words big enough for that moment. When I saw the words Republic of Korea, I collapsed again and wept. So this is free South Korea, I thought. I'm really here. We spent 3 months at Hanawon, the government resettlement center. There, we learned how the world outside North Korea actually works. Convenience stores open 24 hours a day. Internet access that can reach even news about the North. Supermarkets overflowing with goods. Everything felt unreal. The first time I went alone to a convenience store, I understood what freedom means in daily life. No one watched me. No one followed me. I picked up what I wanted, paid, and walked out. In North Korea, that simple act is not simple at all. Outside the store, I began to cry again. So this is freedom, I whispered. Later, agents from South Korean intelligence came to see me. I told them everything. 6 years with Kim Ju-ae. The power struggle between Ri Sol-ju and Kim Yo-jong. The purge of teacher Park Sun-hee. What the elite really say behind closed doors. At one point, an investigator asked, how do you see Kim Ju-ae's future? I let out a long breath. She faces 2 possible destinies, I said. Either she becomes Kim Yo-jong's perfect puppet and gets used her entire life. Or she becomes useless and is eliminated. Look at Jang Song-thak. Look at others who were once powerful and then fell. That's how it ends in North Korea. He asked quietly, so you believe she could be disappeared or even purged? I nodded. Think of Korean history, I said. Princes who lost power didn't retire peacefully. They were dethroned, exiled, or killed. Prince Sado was locked in a rice chest by his own father. In North Korea, the same logic applies. Even blood relatives, even members of the Baekdu bloodline mean nothing when power is at stake. Now my husband and I live in a small apartment on the outskirts of Seoul. Every morning, I open the window, breathe fresh air, and feel grateful. I can buy rice, meat, and fruit at the store. It still feels like a miracle. But every night, I cry when I think about the family we left behind. Is my daughter safe? Is my son suffering in the army? Is my 78-year-old mother still alive? Have my loved ones been punished because we escaped? When I meet other defectors, I hear the same thing over and over. We just want to see our families again before we die. Will unification ever come? The generations separated by the Korean War are still waiting for reunions. I am no different. I want, while I am still alive, to see my children again. I want to visit my mother's grave near Pyongyang and bow before it. I want to hold my family and say, we made it. We survived. There is one thing I want to say to you. Freedom is not free. I risked my life to obtain the freedom you were born into. Please, don't take it for granted. In North Korea, over 25 million people still live in a country that feels like a prison. They are human beings just like you. They speak the same language. They share the same blood. Someday, I hope they can taste this same freedom. I hope unification will come while our generation is still alive. I hope I can see my daughter and son again. I hope I can call my mother one more time, face to face, not only in my prayers.